So I personally first learned about you through the Breakfast Club because it is what it is. I'm a huge fan.
I apparently am very efficient in my work because people think that I don't sleep and that I work around the clock. And I always tell people, not only do I sleep 8 hours a night, but I take off 24 hours every single week and have religiously for 24 years. And
Wow.
so that is, I think maybe I get so much done during the day, I guess, because I pack it in and I
Yeah.
don't, I don't deal with a whole lot of nonsense. So that saves me time.
Multicultural avenue for alcohol beverages and
Which I would
everything.
like to blow up, but that's okay. Go ahead. I hate that we have multicultural divisions because in and of itself we've separated out a group of people, and
Yeah.
that we are keeping from the top jobs because we're not giving them access to the full portfolio. But anyway, go ahead. We'll
No, that, that's actually the crux of the entire interview.
All right,
And
let's do it. I hate
it,
those departments.
well, so you're saying if you do things for the correct reason and purposefully, and you let things happen organically, things will work out for themselves in some respect.
Absolutely. I think for a lot of people, a lot of the limitations is people put their own limitations on themselves and what they
Right.
can do and what they can't do. And we manifest what we believe. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if we believe that there are barriers and glass ceilings and all the rest of that stuff, unfortunately, we continue to manifest that. When we determine that those things do not exist and they will not impact us, somehow, some way, they always end up being removed. I can't really give other people excuses. I don't give myself any.
Yeah. So you're saying a self-perpetuated manifestation, like if you constantly thinking it's going to happen indirectly, subconsciously, and you're going to project it into whatever you're doing.
Absolutely. And so my company, for instance, you join Uncle Nearest, you're going to get you get an Uncle Nearest backpack, but with a bunch of books in it. And
Yeah.
they're some of my favorite books. And one of those books that all of our team members have read and we sort of live by it each day is called Miracle Mornings
Hmm.
and the Miracle Equation. Well, that's all about removing any kind of excuses or barriers and literally preparing every single day for success. So the question becomes, if the entire world is blowing up,
Hmm.
how do we create our bubble and continue on our mission and continue our path and continue our growth? How do we do that if everything around us is literally going crazy? There is a solution for every problem. The question becomes, how quickly can we get to that solution?
You're agile as well. You're able to shift. A lot of these companies, they're like B-52s. It takes a year for them to shift and turn, and by the time they have turned, the market's turned, and they're not agile.
If you look at demographics, one of the things that we did is when I was coming into this, and especially raising capital or bringing distributors on board and all the rest of that stuff, every single one would ask me, who's your demographic? And I
Yeah.
would look at them and determine who they thought my demographic should be. And
Yeah.
that's who I would tell them was my demographic.
Oh,
So
wow.
to one person, it's like, who's your demographic? African Americans. Who's your demographic? White males between this age and this age. Who's your demographic? White women between this age and this age. Depending on who was asking me the question, would be the answer.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to help you because I don't want to see you not succeed. I want to see more Uncle Nearest in this industry, meaning more businesses that are run by women in our spirits industry, more that are run and owned by African Americans and people of color. And the only way that you can really lift that up is
Mhm.
somebody who's succeeded at it has to kind of say, hey, this is what worked and what didn't work.
Organic stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid of competition. So raising up competition
Yeah.
to me, it just makes the pie bigger.
Yeah.
You're not taking a slice of my pie. We're expanding the pie together.
Listen, my perspective on this might be a little bit different, but I honestly believe there's room for everybody to succeed.
How do you get the capital you need to build your brand? And so for Goldman Sachs, it was very simple. You guys asked me, how can you help as individuals? Very
Okay.
simply. It costs you, it'll cost between $10,000 and $13,000 to build out to hire a company to do the right kind of business plan and the deck that truly gets capital funding. Underwrite it.
Okay.
That's what I was telling them to do. As individuals, y'all make a crap load of money. Underwrite the plan. When you see one that hits your desk, don't just reject it, help them.
At first, it was around the altruism aspect, but then I saw things coming back tenfold in dividends. Like people just coming back and helping me for no reason and connecting the dots. And a lot of people will say, okay, well, what do you need out of this? And I don't need anything out of this. I just do well for yourself and we'll see how it goes. So
Amen.
that's
Everybody so far. And if I've not said no, and that means they haven't asked, and there's a really good chance they haven't asked because they've heard me publicly already say no. so they don't even need to bother. So yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
No, that makes sense with the preface of the organic, and not doing anything for a specific reason or chasing some sort of success. You're doing it for your own reasons. The reason I had to ask that, and I've seen it on record before, is because everything that's come before Uncle Nearest has followed the prototypical cookie cutter algorithm, which is, build the brand up and then sell it to a conglomerate. They then throw it against the wall, beat the brand equity out of it, diminish the price capacity, it drops into the floor, and then no one's ever heard of it again. So I was like,
yep.
This is the brand that I personally connect with. I love the brand. I do not want to see this happen. What is your favorite whiskey outside of Uncle Nearest? Is that a fair question to ask?
Yeah, that's a fair question to ask. So it goes in waves. I can tell you what I drank, what was my absolute favorite before Uncle Nearest, is E.H. Taylor Single Barrel Cask Strength. That was my absolute favorite. Do you have it back there? Yeah, you got to have the kernel. You have to always have the kernel. The moment you say like a woman, or,
right.
This moment for female, or this moment for people of color, or the moment you say that, you have just put a subconscious limitation on yourself. Business ideas as an entrepreneur. And I think a lot of people will just throw ideas out there, and that's not going to be well received by your immediate boss or by the big person,
absolutely.
Whoever that is.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can happen. So that's some great advice. So I don't.
They should take your advice. Yours is safer.
I've seen.
My advice comes with some risk.
Yeah, well, that's the no tightrope thing.